right, we'll jump in since we have a small group, but a quorum. So welcome everyone to the joint meeting for Rules and Open Government Committee and Committee of the Whole for Wednesday, March 4th. I'm joined by Councilmember Kimmis and Councilmember Davis. So we have a quorum. We'll begin with a review of the final agenda for March 10th. And we'll ask if there are any changes beginning on pages 4 and 5. Pages 6 and 7. Pages 8 and 9.
No.
Pages 10 and 11.
On 8.2, we have a request from council staff to hear 8.2 first in the evening.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yes. Wait, 8 point, are you sure it's 8 point?
It is to be heard in the evening. They
There's going
just,
to be two that are going to be
Oh.
requesting first in the evening.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
we
see.
have to decide.
Oh, right. 10.2 is the one I was thinking of, which is
Yeah.
the mobile home park designation. Okay. Does the TEFRA hearing have to be heard in the evening? Is that?
No, it does not. I don't know why,
I think
Councilmember
they're
Carrasco.
anticipating a lot of community participation.
Yeah, sure, Michael.
Hi, Michael Pierce with Councilmember Esparza's office. So we've had a group of residents from Valley Palms. These are mostly working mothers who really want to come out, but it's been a bit of a project to get them out here, and we've
Yeah.
worked with the county NSU to make shuttle arrangements. We're actually going to have childcare arrangements in the wing. And so the timing on this has been kind of a challenge, but these are
Yeah.
a group that really wants to come and make sure their voices are heard.
And the parents are frustrated with the condition and maintenance of the facility, is that right?
Right, and
Yeah.
they have concerns that they just want to make sure are heard.
Okay.
Yeah, I would characterize them as many and deep concerns.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, understood.
Uh,
Okay. So I guess what I would suggest for the community to consider is that we would put this right immediately after the mobile home item, because I know we're going to have, oh gosh, I guess you got countervailing concerns with both. And you have a lot of seniors that may be coming out for the mobile home item. I don't know which one you're gonna have more people on, that's the problem.
Do you have any
Yeah.
speakers for this agenda?
I do have one, yeah, we'll hear from them. Yeah.
So we're about to have another speaker.
Okay, we're gonna have more speakers in a moment. Yeah. So why don't we hold off and we'll hear from the public. But clearly that is noted.
I wanted to add that I
Yeah.
don't think we have an exact number of speakers, but in general, I would anticipate that it would likely be fewer than for the mobile home item.
Yeah.
I know that, and we also know that there could be a lengthy discussion on that, and we expect that this item would likely not involve the same length of discussion.
Fair point.
So,
Okay, thank you.
great.
All right. Moving on then, pages 12 and 13, any changes?
yeah,
Changes 14 and 15?
I think he'll get to it when he gets to the end of the agenda. Or he should.
Okay. Let's go to public comment. Michael Pierce?
That's Mike.
Oh, that was Michael. Okay, you're with Councilmember Sparza, not with Councilmember, I think it was Councilmember Carrasco. Oh, it is, okay, thank you. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Okay, and then Martha, welcome.
Yeah, I've been getting, is this on?
Yes.
I've been getting a lot of emails from the seniors. They're concerned about the timing. And I told them we were second on the agenda. So now I'm hearing we might be third. I'm going to need a clarification to tell a bunch of people.
Okay, thank you.
So, once again, we need it early. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. So I guess what I might propose is that we would take consent item first, take the, we don't expect any significant public participation in the Harker item, is that right?
I think there may be
It's
some.
an appeal on the Harker.
Oh, it is an appeal, okay.
It's an appeal, so you
I do
probably
think
won't-
there's
Yeah.
reason to be optimistic on Harker, though.
Okay. All right, well, let me just throw out a suggestion then, that we would take the Nicholson Lane mobile home park item immediately after consent, and then followed by the Valley Palms item, and then 10.3 last.
So moved with the ad sheet.
Second.
And with the out sheet, thank you. All right, any discussion on that?
My boss on it.
Yes, Michael?
I think our concern is that, in terms of the schedules for these folks, that a significant delay as could happen if the mobile home item is heard first, that these people just aren't going to be able to stick around for long enough. So that's.
Yeah, I guess we
Really
got that
concerned about
challenge with
this.
both. That's the challenge, Michael. So, we've got folks who are concerned about hanging on to their homes, and we're also
We-
limited income, and many are seniors, so it's a challenge either way.
We understand. I think that the expected, at least our expectation is that the discussion for the mobile home item would likely take significantly longer than the TEFRA hearing.
Okay. Is there any further discussion from the committee? Okay.
I think
On the
he's
motion.
right, that, I think he's right, because I think there'll be a lot more mobile home people showing up than, but
Yeah, so I leave it to the committee.
yeah.
I'm happy
Like,
to.
I was
Go
the
other
same
direction.
flip a coin, but it's,
So there's a motion
I
on
don't,
the table.
I don't mind going first with the one thing that
All right, so there is a motion. If someone would like to amend the motion, certainly you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, we'll vote.
Do you, Vice Mayor?
I'm neutral on this.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
Because you never know how many people are gonna
Yeah.
show up
Yeah, we
for
just don't.
either thing, so it's.
yeah. We don't know.
Whichever direction I say to go in, it will be the opposite.
Exactly. All right, on the
We're gonna be
motion.
bad guys to somebody. Yeah.
On the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to March 17th. Any changes on pages 4 and 5? Pages 6 and 7. Pages 8 and 9. Pages 10 and 11. Pages 13 and 14. 15 and 16. Do we anticipate we'll actually have an agreement on item 6.1, Dave? By the time this.
Somewhat unlikely, but you just indulge me, I'm trying to keep it on the agenda to keep a fire under everyone.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right. Any changes? Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll move on to the public record.
Motion to note and file.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Martha, is that on this item? Nope, okay. Item G1 is the consent calendar.
Motion to approve, or second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We're on to the Bay Area News Group's Public Record X request. And I see that Bert Robinson is here. Bert, if I could just ask you to fill out a card whenever you're done speaking. Would you like to speak first? Okay, great.
So Mayor, just want to make sure.
Let me check in with Ed about the process.
Right, so this discussion is simply whether to direct the staff, or whether to direct the staff to agendize this for next Rules Committee.
Yeah.
That was the original one. I see that the city manager has issued out, or the police chief has issued out a memo, I guess addressing some of the questions. So the Rules Committee shouldn't have a full discussion of the item. The question is, does the Rules Committee want to direct that this item come back in light of the fact that there's a memo out addressing the issues. So it's not a full discussion of all of the issues on the memo. It's a question of have they been answered, so that you don't have to direct them to come back. Because the item said, direct the city manager to come back next week for a full discussion, is what the agenda item states.
Oh, so the agenda suggests that we don't have the discussion
No,
today?
it doesn't suggest, it says,
It says-
direct the city staff to come back next week
Why would
to
we-
discuss it.
I wrote the memo, I didn't write the agenda. Why would we have it set for rules so we could set it on a different day to discuss it? That would,
I think, well, the way I read it, you didn't know that the chief was gonna have an answer for you this early.
well, I knew the chief was working on a response,
Yeah, so I can't.
but the
dispute-
assumption was we were gonna have a discussion. There's no point in setting something to talk about it on another day.
Yeah, it's the way it was worded.
So what do we do?
Well, the memo,
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. So you can talk about the items in the, you can talk about the items in the memo to determine whether or not they're sufficient for you guys to come back next week, but you can't give direction with regard to anything in the memo because that's not set for discussion.
can we have a discussion about the item?
You can have a discussion of the item clearly because you have to determine whether or not you still want to direct the city manager to come back next week with any additional information. It may be that the information you have is sufficient, so you don't need to
Okay.
direct him to come back next week.
All right, so we can discuss the item this week.
Correct, but with no direction.
All right,
Okay.
so we will discuss the item this week. I'm just pulling this up to make sure I'm clear. So the recommendation is dated February 25th, and it says, direct the city manager and chief of police to return to next week's rules committee.
Correct, but that's what that's what it says on the agenda.
Yeah, but that's, the agenda is obviously misstated, because this was written on February 25th, and next week is now.
But there's no way that the direction could have happened until today.
This needs a vote of the committee to direct us. That vote is today.
Correct. Maybe.
Okay.
That's why it was on the agenda, because the Rules Committee has to direct it. Your memo did not direct the city manager to do this.
Well, I can't direct anyone to do anything by memo. I can only have a committee or a council for the media, and they could then determine at that time whether this was a case that should be prioritized and released or not. Or alternatively, through some conversation, there could be some priority of cases set. So that way, at least, the most meaningful files and reports are produced first. But I don't know how we can defend 3 cases getting released in 14 months. And the memo doesn't do it for me, and the memo is a very lengthy memo, and I'm concerned that we're spending this much time writing memos, and we're not producing the records. So that would be my suggestion. I'll leave it to the committee to consider.
Did we want to hear from?
Sure.
Can I just speak on
Please.
availability? The chief would like to be here in front of the committee to speak on this matter. We're just having a little bit of scheduling issues with the fact that he's in New York next Wednesday. So if we're going to want to have the chief here for this conversation, I just need to discuss some availability issues.
Well, look, whether the chief's here or not, or if he wants to be on speakerphone, that's fine with me. But we've got a department with many deputy chiefs. We've got a city manager's office. We've got plenty of people in positions of authority who can speak on this issue. Whether the chief wants to be here virtually or have somebody stand in for him is fine, but we've got to get moving.
Yeah, we're prepared to have the conversation next week. We weren't asked, we just wanted to make sure that we didn't surprise anyone by having the conversation next week without the chief, but we're prepared to continue.
Any thoughts? Councilman Davis?
I just have a couple of questions about the memo. So just the chart about the hours required to process just the first case. I understand with written records, you're going through and redacting. Are these paper records that you can't just do a find and replace?
So I'm not sure if my mic's on, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Okay,
hear you.
all right, so some of these records are paper records. It's every record that we possess. So we have records that are, as you would imagine, digitized. And we have records that are notes written by detectives. And we have records that are photographic and records that are audio and video. So the redaction process is not as simple as just finding a certain word and then replacing that. In particular, because there are certain dates of birth, for instance, of some people have to be redacted, but not of other people. Names of some people have to be redacted and not of other people. And so it's not as simple as going through and just redacting all the names, but to have to go through each version of the records and make sure that we find this particular person's name throughout, whether it's handwritten or whether it's spoken in a file or whether it's written in one of the digitized files. So it's not as simple as a find and replace, and that first case, I think I spoke to in the memo that first case really was our first case, and we were still developing procedures and how long it would take us to do things. And so, no, that first case wasn't simple for us. We're getting better, but that's a long answer to a short question.
So what are they doing in San Diego and the San Diego Sheriff's Office in Bakersfield to produce so many cases, so many more cases in such a shorter amount of time?
There's a lot of difference throughout the different organizations in the state of California as to what they're actually releasing. So I don't know each organization what they're releasing, but some organizations are releasing just the crime report, but not the photographs and not the video and not the audio. And so when you release just portions of it, you can release portions of a lot of cases, but you still haven't released the entirety of each of those cases. And what we've been doing and we've been trying to do is to release everything we have for a case and then move on to the next one. And it's very obvious that that's not working. For
Yeah,
us.
and if I
so-
could just
and we're-
jump in, I was assuming we'd already made the pivot away from that approach by now. Have we?
That is not true that the San Diego Sheriff is only releasing partial records. That's just factually incorrect.
Okay. So,
That's probably better for discussion of next week so that the staff can get that information and so that everybody's clear about what the.
well, we understand we can discuss this issue now, Ed, so we're going to
No,
discuss.
I'm
the
not
issue.
saying that you can't discuss it, Mayor. I'm just saying it may be better now that we know what the issues are that are being brought up, that they can be discussed better.
Well, these
next
issues
week.
have been raised, Ed. They're not new. Everybody knew these issues. And I've had this discussion directly with the chief about why it is we're not just releasing the face reports at the very least, and then allowing Bay Area News Group to say, well, we clearly want to dig deeper here and not here, and so that way we can all probably save a lot of time and energy. If we're just producing the face reports that are redacted, obviously, for witness identification, and that way we can hopefully move forward a little more collaboratively. But this idea that we're going to dig to the deepest depth of the file on one or two files and somehow get through this in a reasonable period of time isn't going to work. And I assume that pivot had already been made, has it?
So yes, about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So we're not seeing the benefit of that yet.
All right.
That's it, thank you.
Other questions?
I don't have a better idea than yours, Mayor.
Okay, all right, so we're going to come back next week, and staff is going to tell us why we shouldn't simply order the alternative that was suggested by Mr. Robinson. And we can certainly have a further discussion at that time, but I think everyone's pretty clear about what we're interested in and hopefully in accelerating this process. Okay, on the motion.
Well, we should make a motion.
There was not a motion, you're right.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then we're on to open forum. I have Martha O'Connell.
I know you can respond real quick under open forum. I was really confused about the motion, and I don't understand where the mobile home issue is. Was it moved down?
Yeah, I think we can respond. So it's consent, then it is the mobile, no, I'm sorry, is there an item before? No, there's not. Mobile home first, and then the remaining. Okay.
Okay, so it's where it was.
Yes.
It's where it was.
Yeah, if Gloria has it here, so it's consent, it's item 10.2, it's item 8.2, and then item 10.3.
Great. Okay. Thank you. The meeting's adjourned.